Yes, we've finally got him on, my old manager, Neil Lennon. Been brilliant for all the boys, so we're delighted to get him on. Again, please like and subscribe, it helps us massively. Hope you enjoy. Yes, welcome Open Goal, Neil Lennon! 8 years I've been trying to get you, mate.
Well, you still haven't paid me my fee yet, so I'm still waiting.
Some fee you're wanting to.
I know, yeah, it is.
You're caked as well, I'm skint. How you want so much money?
You're skint.
Skint.
I see you everywhere.
Where?
Well, you moved into the West End, haven't you?
How, we've not had a pint yet?
No, I don't mess, I don't mingle with riffraff.
Do you know why I wanted to get you on? Actually, thank you. You're going to think I'm talking shit here, but like the effect you had on my career, which was shite. But as a person, this wouldn't have happened without you. I remember when I was leaving Celtic, you said to me, never change as a person. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, because you were a good lad and you were sparky and you had like good personality. You were a good player, but I think the injuries took a bit of a toll on you at the time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you did all right. You know,
you told us not to go to Swindon as well, and you're probably right.
Yeah.
Remember you saying that. But we were mad as young kids. Do you remember Gardine and that as well?
Well, I remember you and Gouser on a tour in America. Do you remember?
Oh my God.
And they lost there was a competition between you and Gouser. He had to wear the mankini at dinner. And Gouser lost. I always remember Gouser sitting at this dinner table in a pink, no, it was a lime green mankini.
Lime green, that's right.
And he's the angriest man in the world, wasn't he?
Oh, he's so angry, huh?
He's still angry now, like, you know. I think he was born angry. But yeah, no, you were good boys. Gordon, he was another one. Sparky. And then you had Aidan and Sean. Sean was a little bit different from you guys. But I remember it was Joe Ledley's first trip.
That's right.
And he was half cut and he came up to me and said, "Fucking hell, gaffer, what have you come as?" So he was over saying, "Where's the toilet?" So Park sent him into the kitchen and he ended up in the kitchen with his todger out.
Amazing. What about Slaney? Memories of him?
Just the one, Slaney. I remember he played against an Albanian team which is full of part-timers and he did really well. And we signed him and then he took a bit of time to settle. And then one day we called him down because somebody got injured and seemingly he had 3 or 4 pays up in the hospitality before the game. And then he got 15 minutes and he was blowing out his backside for about 15 minutes during the game. But apart from that, like, I don't...
Do you know he was spewing, wasn't he?
I don't know if he was spewing, he probably was, like, you know. But I was going, what's wrong with him? And then Parks told me he'd been upstairs eating mince and potato pies, thinking he wasn't going to be involved.
But he's another one that said you were a really good one when he was leaving Celtic.
I was good with him, but I was hard on him, like, you know, but that's just was my way. I mean, if you look at Jamesy, like I had Jamesy in the development team and I was always on his case, but, you know, he went on, like, I mean, it's amazing to see what he's done, like. But you're all good lads, like, you know, you're all funny. I mean, I remember Roy coming and you were like, "Oh, Roy this, Roy, do you want a cup of tea?" Roy, we were all like, fuck's sake, honestly.
But you're a wee bit jealous that I was like that, man?
No.
All right.
No.
Sure?
Last person.
Because you were my hero before he came.
Sotty was your hero. You like Sotty.
How good was his patter?
You like Sotty's patter was dangerous.
What was the funniest thing you'd say in the dressing room?
Okay, we just like, I remember going down playing Giggs' testimonial. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And so he had this sort of like, he always thought he was an intellectual. So like the boys would be reading Viz or fucking men's magazines and that he'd be there with a broadsheet, you know, kidding on, he was smart. And he's sitting in front of me and he goes, I fucking hate him, Lenny. I said, who? Because we're playing Giggs' testimonial, we're flying down that day. He goes, I hate Beckham. There's a time Beckham had the crew cut.
Right.
He says, what do you hate him for? He says, oh, he's just on everything. And he comes up with this idea, he goes, right, first one to slap Beckham round the head. Gets the kitty, and so everyone's in for about 150 quid. And then it all kicked off. We're winning 3-1 at half time, nothing happened. And said in half time, right, we need something to spark it. So of course, Jackie being Jackie, he loved to tackle Jackie. He scissors Giggs in his testimonial, like just cuts him in two. Next thing, everyone's in, and I'm near enough there. And Roy comes over and goes, Lenny, just leave it, like. And then the next thing I just see Sotty coming up behind back. I'm going, clipping him round the head and just running off, like. So you had this sort of acerbic, acidy sense of humour is a little bit different.
I remember working at the games and before the Rangers game, but I got a bad feeling about this. I think we're going to get battered. Remember that?
Us?
You would say that in the dressing room?
Oh yeah, he was terrible. Yeah, I think we'll get beat 4-0 today. And John Robinson, like, he was just, John Robinson was like that with shut up you, just shut up. I feel it, John, I feel it. And we'll end up winning, like.
You've been relying on me for weeks. He used to say that, didn't he?
Could you lot have been shit in training this week, honestly?
What a hero. See why were you like that with us as young players, because was there somebody that was like that with you when you were a young player?
Well, when I was at Man City, I had like Tony Book and Glenn Pardo, who were like two Man City legends who had won everything at Man City. And Tony had been the manager, and then when I got there, he was youth team coach, and he was brilliant, like tough but brilliant, you know, and gave me a platform for the rest of my career. That, you know, 3 years there at City as a young player and a young pro, and like it was a brilliant education working with them. And they were funny, but they were tough, like, you know what I mean? And they didn't suffer fools gladly. I know times have changed, but still, it was a brilliant education on learning the game and understanding the game. And that stood me in good stead, you know, throughout my time.
And then going to Crewe, was that the best thing that happened to you in your career?
Yeah, you know, I'd say this to a lot of young players, you know, like, whether it be at Celtic or whether any other club, that at times you let go. And it's not the end of the world. I thought it was the end of the world, say. Because I'd left home, you know, I'd put everything into it, and I thought I'd had a good season, but they just said, like, we're letting you go. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? You know, the last thing I wanted to do was go back to Ireland. And Crewe came in, and, you know, they had this reputation of finding young players like David Platt before me, Rob Jones, Danny Murphy. And then I came in, and you know, I was out for a year, by the way. I played my first year, got player of the year. A lot of clubs were looking at me, and then I got diagnosed with a spinal stress fracture in my back. And I'm thinking, well, so back operation will be 5-6 weeks. And the specialist went, no, you're out for 18 months. So you can imagine, like, a year previous, I've been let go. I've done a year, I've done all right. And then this time they're going, right, you're out for 18. And that's, for a young lad, like,
did you think you're chucking
19.
it?
Well, if I hadn't had the surgery, I would have been finished at 22. So I went back to Belfast, and I had the surgery in an army hospital. So you can imagine some of the cases they had to deal with in the hospital when the troubles were on. And I had this, like, amazing surgeon who corrected it, like, but I had my 20th birthday in hospital bed, like, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, God, I'm in League Two. I haven't got a pot to piss in, and I'm out for 18 months, like. So you're thinking to yourself, there's only one way this can go, and that's fucking up the way. So slowly but surely I got myself back in after a year out, and then just started playing, and then a couple of years later, you know, went to Leicester.
I remember you took us to Ireland on a pre-season with the reserves, and your mum and dad came to the hotel and on the bus as well. But how important were they during that time for you?
Well, during the injury, like, you know, I went home and convalesced for about 3 or 4 months. So, you know, part of my rehabilitation. So they were always a big part of my life and my career. Like, you know, my dad, you know, he very rarely come to watch me play, but he was always on the phone, and mum was just proud as punch, like, you know. So yeah, I mean, you do everything for your parents, don't you? So yeah, they were a real sort of inspiration for me. So
you get back playing with Crewe, and then Martin O'Neill comes in for you?
We did, yeah. Well, I was due, the story was, I played against Southampton in the Cup, and they were a Premier League team. It did well, and we were flying, and we got promoted, and then we were in League One, and we were in round about the playoffs. We were a really good team at Crewe at that stage. And Coventry came in for me.
Right.
The ironic thing was, it was Ron Atkinson, and the assistant manager was Gordom Strachan, right?
No way.
So I went to meet Ron Atkinson at Heddock Park. They were playing Man City in the Cup. So I had a chat with him for a couple of hours, and I thought, Premier League, this is great, this is life-changing. Went to the game, got my tickets for the game. I went back home. I was actually, this is how skint I was renting a room off my mate, right? And so we got the beers out and we're celebrating. I was due to go for a medical the next day.
Celebrating you were going to go to Coventry? Right.
And I got a phone call from a guy, Jim Melrose, and I knew Jim for a while, and he'd done bits and pieces of agency work, and he said, where are you? I said, I'm in my mate's place in Stockport. I said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going for a medical tomorrow at Coventry. He went, no, you're not. I said, hi. He says, I've got Martin O'Neill in the car, he wants to speak to you. So it's like, this little cobblestone street, like Coronation Street, the next thing, this big black Mercedes rocks up, like, you know.
So they're driving to your house when they phone you?
And out comes Martin O'Neill, and out comes John Robertson, and out comes Jim. And I might as well tell you a story now. So Jim comes in first, and he goes, right, what did Coventry offer you? I said, $1,000. He says, tell Martin 1,500, right? I said, okay. He says, what about sign on fee? He said, 100,000. They tell him 150,000. I said, right. So then Martin O'Neill comes up and he's just this whirlwind of a guy, you know, and think you're a great player, watch you 5 times, blah, blah, blah. And the house is a pit, right? Fucking pizza boxes everywhere, right? Empty beer cans. There's pictures of Samantha Fox and that, like, you know.
John Roberts is just sitting staring at the poster.
Well, yeah, John's right at home, right? Because he came in with a shirt hanging out in the fag and that, you know. And
that pizza left.
They ended up writing out my contract. There's no paper, and ripped the back of a pizza box and wrote down the conditions. So he goes, "What did Coventry offer you?" And I started going bright.
You knew you were lying.
Of course he did. I went 1,500 quid a week. You know, he used to push his glasses up, and then signed on for 150. So he came up with 1,800 quid and 200 grand. And I'm like, and then he sold the club to me, and I went, right, look, you know, how am I going to play this? And so we took a walk with Jim, and he went, look, you just have to ring Crewe tonight or tomorrow and tell them you're not doing it. You're going to stay. Because they'd set up the press conference and everything for me at Coventry. So Crewe were not happy, you know, at all. So I stayed on for 2 weeks at Crewe and then I went to Leicester after that. And
did you need to tell Ron Atkinson as well and Strachan?
No, I didn't tell him, no. I left it to the club to tell him.
Did Strachan remind you of that story?
I don't know if Gordon was really up with it, like, at the time. But, you know, I met Ron in Barbados a couple of years later, like, and he had dinner with me. He was great about it, like, you know what I mean? He goes, look, it's just football. And it's that sliding door moment in your life, meeting Martin O'Neill, you know, just everything changed. Went to Leicester in the Championship. Didn't start well at all. 4 or 5 games, and then there was pitch demonstrations wanting him out. And we lost to Sheffield United, and he came in afterwards, and I'd been suspended because I got sent off, which he wasn't fucking happy about, like. And he said, right, there's 9 games to go. We're going to win as many as we can. We're going to get into the playoffs. I think we're about 9th in the league at the time. We're going to get to Wembley. We're going to win, and then I'm taking all the fucking glory, because at the minute I'm taking all the shit for you lot. And he was true to his word, you know. And 6, 7 weeks later, we're at Wembley, and Steve Clark scores the winning goal in the last minute. It was just an unbelievable moment in my life. And fucking 3 months from being a League One player, you're going to be in the Premier League. Just incredible.
What, see the sending off, was that the first time you had the proper go to?
How
scary was he?
Listen, I made my debut at Reading, and he'd been nice as pay to me, like, you know, and brilliant, I'm delighted. Oh, look at him train, this is great. And I was sub for the first game, and he brings me on half time, but at half time he went ballistic at the player. I'm going, oof, this is a bit different. Yeah. He's gone from like complete Jekyll and Hyde. And then I got sent off again, Oldham, about 3-4 weeks later, and he just absolutely crucified me for about 20 minutes and made me feel about that big. And I thought to myself, yeah, it's a real lesson. I'm no good to anyone in the fucking bath, you know. And he made me feel that big because I let him down, the team down, myself down, and I was acting Jekyll lad, and I never did it again. But
on the flip side of that, he can make you feel like the best player in the world.
Oh, 100%, yeah. It was all psychology with Martin. Yeah. He was brilliant at it. And I was lucky. I had 10 years with him, 5 at Leicester and 5 at Celtic, and when he was right in his pomp, you know, and we had such a great relationship, like, you know.
Did he, when he left for Celtic, did you know straight away he was going to take you? Did he say that to you?
Oh, he pulled me, yeah. Like, we'd won the League Cup for the second time at Leicester, and I think it was like March 2000, and then he pulled me in around about end of April, May, and he said, look, I've had an approach, would you come? I said, yeah, of course I would, yeah. And it took about a while to get it done, like, but eventually.
Why was that? Because it wasn't till December you went, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Leicester wanted far too much money from me, like, you know, and he'd already spent money on Sutty and Tomo and Big Rob, and Leicester were holding out for like 8 million, something like that. And then I got my agent to go in and say, right, look, ask for an exorbitant amount of money. Once they knock it back, then I can maybe put in a transfer request, so there's no ill feeling with the fans and that. And he came out 20 minutes later and said they've agreed to everything. I'm like, it was incredible. But in the end, it came about because they lost heavily at Ibrox, and then Paul broke his shin bone or something like that. And then Martin said, you know, we need to get Lenny up, like, you know, so. And we were 3rd in the league at the time.
And I was going to say, that was any thoughts of just staying there in the Premier League and see what other moves could come about?
Chelsea made a bit an approach, and there was talk of Leeds as well. But I wanted to play with him again, you know, because it was the happiest time of my life, and it was Celtic, you know, and he was there, and he was doing great things, and then you come up and you realise how good the players here are as well. You had Lubo, Henrik, Stan, Lambo, Champions League winner, you know, and then all the boys that Martin had brought in, you know.
See, just today when you know it's definitely happening, like what was that reaction like at home?
Oh, amazing. My dad, like, you can imagine what my father's like, you know what I mean? And just so much excitement. Made my debut at Dundee at Dens Park on a freezing cold night, snowing, and they're all there, you know, and the fans.
They all came over?
Yeah. Oh, I had to see that, like, you know. They all came over. My auntie come, half the family came, like, you know, so it was just very, very special.
Amazing. You mentioned players there, but one I need to ask you about obviously was Henrik. Did you know anything about him before you came up?
Oh, I knew about him, yeah. I'd seen him play in the World Cup in '94.
You're quite a football that guy, aren't you? You know,
yeah. I study a lot of football, and he's a good player, but nowhere near as good. He was a winger at the time, say.
Right.
They finished third in the World Cup in '94, and he had a good tournament, like, and I thought, oh, he's not bad. And then I seen him going to Celtic, I think it was 98, 97, 98, 650 from Ferry, and you think, oh, good luck. But when I got there, like, he had sort of blossomed into centre forward. I think Sutty was big for him. He was really good, like, before Martin came in, but I think when playing with Sutty, like, he kicked on to world-class levels. He's the best player I ever played with. I mean, you know, like, you know the way he prepared, you know the way he looked after himself.
He was ripped, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was like that.
Yeah.
But in the air, he was amazing because he could hang.
Yeah.
And he's so powerful in the air for his frame. And then he's just so intelligent, like, and his finishing was incredible. And he would score goals out of nothing. You know, there's been nothing in the game, next thing, bang, goal.
First treble in 32 years that season.
When you see it now, what the club has done in the last decade, you know, how good the club's been in the last decade. So that was pretty special. You know, when you think of the dominance that Rangers had in the previous decade, Martin flipped it all.
They were a good team as well, weren't they?
Brilliant team. So you had Barry, Tugay, George Alberts, Stefan Kloss, Michael Moles, the De Boers, Kanija. Wow. They're all world-class players. Arthur Newman, all world-class players, all like played in for the countries, you know, top players. So the games were of a really high level. You probably won't see that again in an old firm for a long, long time because of the financial differential now. Like, you know. So clubs like Rangers and Celtic could go to the Premier League 25 years ago. Can't they?
Was it always you and Barry in the games that would...
Yeah, he was always the one you'd go for, like, you know what I mean? And try and negate or we'd call put a marker down, you know. And
there was them all over the pitch, weren't there? There was
these sort of battles. Yeah, it was all individual battles, like, you know what I mean? And the games were frenetic. They were quick, physical, and full of quality.
See, when you won that treble, was the aim the next season, like, we need to do something in Europe now?
Yeah.
And did you think that squad was capable of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, don't forget, we had played in the Premier League.
Yeah.
So we
had a lot of you did, didn't you?
Yeah, so we had a real idea of the levels that was required. And this team, and Martin had managed in the Premier League for 4 seasons, so he knew exactly what he wanted.
How did you find that first Champions League experience?
Brilliant.
Well, so you had 9 points in the group, won all home games.
Can you believe 9 points and we didn't get through?
I know.
But the amazing thing, like, for us, and it's a bugbear of mine, like, apart from Seville, like, was not getting, you know, winning away from home with that team. You know, we should have, you know, we should have made the last 16, either that year or in 2004, because we were, even after Seville, I think the 2004 year we were even better, believe it or not. But and we got beat by Lyon in the last minute or last couple of minutes. But we'd been leading in Munich and threw that away, and then we beat Anderlecht, we beat Lyon. I think we had 7 points, but we should have got a lot more that year. Then we beat Barcelona in the Europa League, and in the league, we started the season 0-0 draw at Dunfermline, right? And then we won the next sort of 26 games in a row, whitewashed Rangers, and it was such a powerful team to play in. Like, they was just so good.
Remember Sutty's volley against Juventus?
Yeah, that was a great night. Lubo came into the team. Even the first game, say, going to Ajax and beating them 3-1, you know, that was a marker.
Pet and Agat were on fire.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. And then Sutty's header was just unbelievable.
See, the first Champions League experience, that atmosphere, the best you'd experienced in your career up to that point?
Oh, the Champions League nights, because the fans, right, one, there's a pedigree with Celtic because of the 67, right? So there's always that history, right? Two, the fans have been starved of big-time football for 10, 15 years, whatever. but they were hungry.
Yeah.
So we walk out that night and the decibel noise just, and it elevates you. Now back in them days, I think it really intimidated the opposition. I don't think it does so much now, but it still elevates the Celtic players. You know, the atmosphere still, to this day, 25 years on, fantastic.
Would you get nervous for the games, or did
no,
you really
just get like really inspired by it all.
You could
like,
actually tell that you were nervous. It was a mad feeling that you just thought that you think they can beat this team. You know, Juventus, did you always have that mindset? You should beat the teams,
yeah. I mean, even the Juventus game, like it flip-flopped. What do you call him? Del Piero scored the free kick. You're like, oh, wow. And then Lebo did a bit of magic. Yoss scored. And I think we went 2-1 up. And then they bring on Trezeguet. He was just awesome. And he rattled 2 in like in the second half. So it went 3-2. And then we ended up winning 4-3. So it was just one of them brilliant nights.
So see on that, Lenny, see the Sevilla, did losing to Basel feel like a catastrophe?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's so much expectation on us. And they actually turned out to be a right good team. I think they got to the
2 brothers, wasn't it? They were
brilliant. The Yakins. So he's the head coach of Switzerland. He was a hell of a player. And then the centre half, I think it was Murat, and then the other one was the number 10. But they're a really good team, and they qualified out of the group when they got through. So anyway, you're thinking, God, that's the season over, and then all of a sudden we get a bit of momentum going in the Europa League. And
then 2 of the biggest games to me were the Blackburn and Liverpool.
Blackburn was
but did you all feel like you had a point to prove because you were playing up here and people looked down their nose down you?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
And would you say that amongst the dressing room?
Of course, yeah. So particularly the Liverpool one when well, obviously you had the old story about men against boys, the Blackburn one, and Gary Flitcroft made a real bollocks of that because he shouldn't have said anything. You know, if Graham Souness had said that in the dressing room, look, and leave it in there, like, you know what I mean? But he made it public and it really pissed Martin off and pissed us off even more. So obviously we had played there at Ewood Park many times. There was about 5 or 6 of us in that team like had played in the Premier League. And we went down and I don't think we played that badly in the first game, but Blackburn were good. You know, they'd Colin York and Damien Duff and Henning Berg and all these, you know, 2 guy. And then we totally outplayed them in the second game. You know, Henrik did what Henrik does. He scored early and then we just dominated the game. But what amazed me, say, was Blackburn had never seen anything like it. The fans, you know, we just Celtic took over. And like you got these little cobblestone streets in Lancashire and it's just full of Celtic fans, like. And it felt like a home game, you know, it felt like a home game. And, you know, you're coming off going, oh, yeah, that was good now. We've proven to at least people in the UK were a decent team.
But were you delighted when you got Liverpool? Think we can go and do this again?
Well, it was exciting. And I think it was sandwiched in between a few Old Firm games, a cup final and a league game. And then, you know, we come away, Henrik scored early. I think it was Heskey scored for them. And then we go down there and Martin was really up for it, like, you know, we all were. I mean, you're walking out at Anfield in a European game for Celtic. Couldn't get any better than that. And then again, we did a number on them, we were brilliant.
John's goal.
John's goal was phenomenal. Me and him had words before that.
Why?
I said, you could hold the ball, you big fucking swat. And he's like, I'll fucking rip your head off. 2 minutes later, he bangs it in, right? I played it, then he plays a 1-2 with Henrik, sticks it in, he comes running over to him, he goes, thanks, Lenny. I fucking needed that. You got me going. And I was right behind that. And as soon as I hit the net, you know, that's it, it's done. We've done them. And he runs over to that wee pocket of, well, the away fans behind the goal. But all around the stadium, say, you could see pockets of green and white, even in the Cop end and that, like, and it was just unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
What's Martin like here in the dressing room after
it's just,
hide a kite?
Oh, mate. Just because it was like meteoric, really. You know, Scottish team coming down, beating a Premier League team in their own backyard in a big European game. The British press, everyone had written us off, and everyone's coming away going, hey, they're a good team, by the way.
And then the semi-final draw between Porto, Lazio and Boavista. Were you delighted you got Boavista, or was there a wee thing of we're heavy favourites now?
Yeah, well, it was the first time in the whole competition we were favourites. Yeah. And they turned out to be the most awkward opponent. You know, they were really set up defensively. Tactically, Portuguese teams are very, very good, very sound. And they were really awkward. And we got, I think it was an own goal, and then I think we got a penalty. So it was one each. I think Henrik missed the penalty as well. And then we go over there, and it was horrible, like, because the stadium was being renovated for the Euros in 2004. Right. And there was only like, like half it open. And we had about 600 fans away over in the corner, and you're thinking, no, semi-final of Europa League, and it's like, about 10,000 people here.
Plenty to come round.
Yeah. So it was so scratchy, so tense, so as all semi-finals are. And again, Henrik comes up with that moment. So you know when you talk about like he was a great goal scorer, he scored the goals as well. So. And it's just I don't know, like it's a really bizarre finish if you see it again. It's so like he sort of like dinks it, and the goalie goes the other way, and it goes in. And I think it was like 10 minutes to go, and the longest 10 minutes of your life.
Remember it? See, Larsson, was he quite humble?
Very.
Yeah.
That's why he was so good.
Yeah.
You know, he could get cranky with people, like, but we all did, like, you know what I mean. But he wasn't. There's no arrogance about him. He was a great like team guy, and he, you know, looked after himself really well. Obviously, come out with us on nights out. Enjoyed the fun of it and all.
Would you celebrate that, getting into the UEFA Cup final?
Well, yeah.
Straight out?
Yeah, but no, we had to fly back. And the interesting thing of that was Porto were flying back from Lazio, and we were flying out of Porto. So all their fans are there and all our fans are there. So you can imagine it was like a carnival. We're almost carried onto the plane, you know what I mean? And then it was a magic 3 days because then we played Rangers on the Sunday, and it's Beach Ball Sunday. We rock up the Ibrox on the Sunday, and you know the roundabout at Ibrox, you turn right to get up to the stadium. Yeah. There's a guy, there's a bit of grass, and he's sitting on a fucking deck chair, and he's got a vest on, and he's got a knotted handkerchief, and we're coming past on the bus, and he's waving us like that. He's not even looking at us, as if he's the Queen, right? Then you see a guy walking up with two blow up crocodiles. There's guys in bikinis, beach ball. It was just awesome, like. And the game took about 15 minutes to start because all the paraphernalia on the pitch. And then we beat them 2-1. So you can imagine how we were feeling after that. Like.
I remember being on the bus. I was in the stand going to Ibrox, and you getting off the buses.
Well, all the boys used to go off first.
And leave you away.
Yeah, and then open the windows and wait for me to come off because they'd all be waiting for me to give my dogs abuse coming off, and they'd all be pissing themselves laughing when I came in.
Did you love that?
Of course you did. Yeah, you had to. You got to either sink or swim, say. You know what I mean? And you got to enjoy it, like, you know, and in a sort of perverse way, it's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, of course.
If it was crap, they wouldn't give a shit about you.
Did you feel like you were a villain every other team in Scotland?
Yeah. And you played on it.
Yeah.
And like then you had that influence and that like aura. It was sort of like
character.
Aye. Brownie did it.
Yeah,
you can see Brownie in the tunnel with Roy Keane did it, shaved head. You have that, and people look at you and go, wonder if I fancy it today with him.
Love it.
You always carried that with you, like, you know, and then you had to dish it out, like, you know.
And then the UEFA Cup final. You remember what Martin said before the game?
No, but I can't really.
Probably would you have kept it quite
low key. Yeah, because all the preparation was done, and I remember training in the morning. We always trained. You remember there'd be a few of us go out in the morning. If there was an evening game, you didn't want to stay in the hotel all day, and Wally would take a few of us out and do a bit of ball work and that. And I remember it just being
in the morning of the game. You went out and did a bit, did you?
Yeah, for all the European games and that. Because I didn't want to be in the hotel all day, like. And it was only a little sort of feeling that, but it was roasting. And I remember saying to Walt, I'm going to struggle tonight in this. He goes, it'll be fine. It'll cool down. It was like 35 degrees, like, you know what I mean?
Back to 90 feet.
Oh, and I remember going out for the warm-up and getting goosebumps because all the Celtic fans were coming in, and you're thinking, this is it, like, this is as good as it gets, like.
Did you see Celtic fans on the bus in the way?
Did we see Celtic fans? We were everywhere. It took us like, I don't know how long it took us to get into the stadium, say. And just, it was a massive carnival. Like, it was a scene like, you see it now, you know, Tall Cross when Celtic win the league, and it's just green and white everywhere, like, you know what I mean? It was almost as if Porto were just there to make up the numbers, you know? And we didn't play well first half, and he said that this at half time. He goes, come on, you can play a lot better. We were a goal down, and then we played really well second half. But they were good, you know, they were slick.
Yeah,
and
that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they had a wee boy, Eleni Chief, he was really good. Durley, the boy Carvalho, he went to Chelsea, and the right back Ferry,
that's right.
And the goalkeeper was tops. So they're a top team. They went on to win the Champions League next year. But we were once Henrik got the 2 goals, a 2-2. We thought we got them here. We felt they'd gone, and we were well on top, or in terms of psychological side of it. They weren't causing us any problems. And then Bobo got sent off in extra time. The referee was poor, really poor. He was only 35. It was a bit much for him, but he let a lot go. And then I wouldn't say it was a turning point in the game, but it sort of gave them a bit of an advantage, honestly, you know. And then they got the 3rd goal out of nothing, really. So, yeah, I've never watched it back. I've just feeding off memories myself, like, you know.
Was that your worst feeling in football?
Oh, aye. Definitely. You know, you've gone so far, and you know, you just felt like you're on the brink of immortality at a club like Celtic if you win a European trophy, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it hurt, and you know, we're all winners in that dressing room, like, you know, and there was no words could sort of console you.
Yeah. And then amazing that team never won any in that
I know.
season. Lost the league on the
went to Kilmarnock and won 4-0 and still didn't win the league, you know. So, but it was just you know, for the memories,
for the
memories and the experiences. I always tell my players, say, you're in the game, right? Obviously, there's a financial side of it, and then there's a trophy chasing side of it. But you're in the game for the feeling. You know the feeling. So you look at Aberdeen's players on Saturday. Amazing. The feeling they have from that, you can't buy that. It's priceless, like, you know what I mean? The feeling that the manager would have got from that. And we've all had them in our own relative way. You know, you've had a promotion this year. You know, congratulations. Thanks, on that. Mate. That's a great feeling, you know, when all that hard work has come to fruition. And it's a little bit different when you're coaching a manager to obviously a player, because you've about a split second to enjoy it, and then you're starting to think about what's next.
Of course. You won the league again in 2004, but Larsson was leaving for Barcelona. How soon before that did you know he was going to go? Did he say to us?
Yeah, I think it was a couple of months before that, aye.
We were all devastated.
Devastated, like.
You think you're fucked now?
Yeah.
Amazing what you went on to do at Barcelona, wasn't
it? He was just an incredible player. And even, like, you couldn't write the script, but, you know, his last game at Celtic Park, we're a goal down, he scores 2 to win it. And then in the cup final, we're a goal down to Dunfermline, and he scores 2 and we win it 3-1. It was just that. He's, for me, you know, I never saw the Lions play live, but he's the greatest Celtic player for me, you know.
Were you and him closest people?
Yeah, we're still good friends now, yeah.
He was a weird character. I was so unsure of him as a young
player. Yeah, but like, you would be though as a young player, because like he's Henrik, you know, and you have that sort of, you know, you don't want to get too close to him, like, in case you upset him or something like that. He just, again, presence. He had that presence about him, but he'd have been all right, really.
Was it perfect?
But Sutty probably would have wound him up and said, "Don't speak that little shit."
How it was a perfect replacement, Craig Bellamy.
Bellamy was
what a player, mate.
Awesome, and what a character.
He drove in with his Ferrari his first day. I remember that.
Yeah, and we were saying, "Look, you need to get rid of that, mate. You're in Glasgow now. That won't last long around here."
Was he a proper character straight away?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's sort of
chirpy.
You could imagine him and Sutty together. So, but he was tops, like, you know, brilliant, outstanding footballer. Very intense, but funny with it.
But that fitted into that group, didn't you? Because you were on so intense as well.
Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah.
Because you had all these big characters, like, and he fitted right in, like. So, and then you see him there as a Wales coach, like, you know, and he really high IQ of football, you know. Top player. Top player, bro.
Was that Sutty and Tomlin to text Shearer? Was it Sutty and Tomlin to text Shearer off his phone?
No.
It was him. You went in the final 5 games of that season, 5 points clear after beating Rangers at Ibrox. How would you analyse what went wrong? Sorry.
I don't know. I think that team was coming to the end. Say we were all the majority of us were all in our mid-30s. We should have won the league. You know, we should have ended up with a double. It's hard to put your finger on why. You know, we lost the Hibs, I think, at home, and then obviously the Motherwell game. You know, we threw it away when it was in our own hands. So very, very unlike us. And you know, Martin, you know, we sort of had an idea that he might leave at the end of it. So it was just the culmination of things, but still, you know, we've only ourselves to blame for not winning the league that year.
And you were pretty much the same 11 every week for years, weren't you?
Yeah.
It wasn't
I mean, we were playing like 50, 60 games a season, like, you know. And when he did rotate it, you know, he felt it didn't go as well as he wanted to. So I had, like, most seasons, maybe 15, 16 players.
Yeah.
You know?
Mad to think that now.
Just roll you out again, roll you out. Was
that the year that Bobo cracked it, everyone in the dressing room? Remember that?
That was I started that, and then...
How did you start it?
Well, we'd lost 2-0 to Hearts, and Big Lee Miller scored 2, and he gave Bobo a really hard time, and I came in afterwards and said, "Fuck's sake, Bobo, it's a fucking nightmare today." And I sit next to him, like, so say he's there, I'm here, Sutty's here, Tomo's there in the corner, and Stan Petrov's the facing one. And he said, "Shut up, Lenny. He fucking cost us." Shut up. Next thing, Stan comes in. And Stan's young and stupid. Didn't read the room, right? "Bobo, you kill us today. You're fucking terrible." "Shut up, Stan." No, you kill us. You cost us today." "Stan, shut up." "No, bump, up he gets. He goes past me. Sutty stands up. He goes, poof, pushes Sutty down. Tomo opens his locker, jumps in, closes it. And he is stand by the neck, right? And it took about 3 or 4 to get off him. Like,
I think it was Jim Henry, that, wasn't it?
Jim, you know, a couple of the fitness with physios and that. And I'm sitting there thinking, I fucking started all that.
On Martin leaving, when did you first know he was going to?
I think I knew, like,
privately?
a few weeks before, like, you know what I mean? And obviously his wife, Geraldine, was going through something really traumatic, like, you know, so yeah, that was it.
Obviously, you must have been so devastated how you had
Yeah, it was really tough, yeah. I mean, 10 unbelievable years, like, you know what I mean? And you're thinking he was going to take a bit of time out, and, you know, it was a huge loss to me professionally and on a personal level, because it was like a routine, you know, him being there, him being your gaffer, Robbo being around the place, Wally being around the place. You know, they played such a huge role as well in my career.
Was there any thoughts of them leaving, thinking, I might need to leave now?
Me?
Because Martin was
leaving? Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, the club wanted me to stay. Obviously, they were going to appoint a new manager. I didn't know who it would be at the time. And then I found out it was Gordon, and I went, okay, I'll run with that. I spoke to Gordon, and then I had a great relationship and still have with him for the last sort of 20 years as well.
He
was pretty special as well.
Good guy, isn't he?
Unbelievable.
So does he speak to you before he gets appointed, or do you just speak to him when he comes to?
Yeah, you know, he spoke to me before, I think, yeah. And, you know, he told me he'd be bringing in. Obviously, I didn't know Gary and I didn't know Jim. And obviously Tommy would be around it as well, which is obviously a continuity thing for the club. And he was great. Didn't get off to a great start. First couple of games, obviously, Champions League and the league. And then once he got his players in, like Arthur, Naka, you know, you could see it starting to really gel. And we had a great season in the end, won the double. And then, I mean, he goes Champions League twice, last 16.
Incredible. You
know, with this, again, it is incredible, say. Yeah. It's so, I think he's really underrated, his contribution. And he had to cut the wage bill as well. And you think all the players that left, Sutty, Stillian went, Tomo went, you know, all these big players. But like I said, that team was coming to the end of the cycle. I had maybe at best a year, 2 years, and we left as well.
Well, Jackie leaves, and when does he tell you he wants to make you club captain, and how good a day was that?
Well, I should have been captain anyway, for fuck's sake. You know, Martin always says that. Lenny was the captain on the pitch, like, but I couldn't trust him. He made me captain once at Leicester, and I got sent off after 15 minutes. He went, I'm never fucking making you captain again. But
were you ever captain under Martin?
At Celtic? No, I don't think it was.
Yeah.
But here's what you could have done, say, you could have went, flipped it into that dressing room, and anyone could have put it on. You know?
Yeah.
Bobo, Big Rob, Johan, Lambo, Stan, me, Jackie, Henrik, Sutty, John, all of them. Yeah. Could all have been DDA. Well, maybe not so much DDA.
No, they didn't.
He was quiet.
But did he pull you in the office and say, I'm going to make you club captain?
No, he told me on the phone, yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
And that amazing feeling? Or does that not really bother you?
I was like, well, I should be. Yeah.
See the Bratislava game, did you fear the worst for Gordon?
No.
No. Because it was so early and he had a lot of changes.
His first game, like, you know what I mean? And
he still says it now that that'll be on his gravestone, doesn't he?
No, it won't. No, I mean, he's done a lot more than that since then. When you think about, listen, he's got AC Milan on the CV. He's got Manchester United on the CV. Yeah. So he's got 2 last 16s and, you know, 3 in a row and stuff like that. So, no, I mean, that was his first game. And the interesting thing was we beat them 4-0 and it could have been 5-0 in the game. And then Bratislava went on to have a really good, you know, they drew 3-3 with Liverpool and that. Yeah, you know, so just one of them years where they were very good. But no, I mean, once, I think Naka for me was the...
I was going to say, what players came in that really impressed Naka?
He sparked it, yeah. Naka was fantastic.
Getting in that wee pocket.
Big Jan was good. Scotty McDonald was good.
Aidan kind of came through then, didn't he?
Well, I felt Gordon got the best out of it, and I thought Aidan, his time at Celtic, his best time was under Gordon, no question. I mean, in the Champions League, he was fantastic. I remember beating Benfica 1-0. He scored that night, and he was unplayable, like, you know. And they had a love-hate relationship, like, you know.
Were you and Aidan similar? Would you have a love-hate relationship?
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had a few run-ins with him, but I mean, that was normal. I mean, Aidan was started fighting an empty house, like, you know what I mean? But I liked Aidan a lot, and, you know, he was his own man, and sometimes he would speak up when he shouldn't. He wasn't the most diplomatic. But I liked him and he was a top player.
What about when, what was your feelings on Roy Keane? Signed for Celtic. Again, did Gordon tell him when I signed Roy Keane?
Well, it was like, flipping hell, better pull my socks up here. You know, and it turned out to be great. I really enjoyed it. Albeit it didn't start so well, the Clyde game, that was so bizarre.
I was the 18th man that day as well. Paul Telford forgot to put his shin guards on, do you remember that now?
No.
In the tunnel you had to run back and put your shin guards on, and I had the feeling this is no...
He was a strange one tell and all, I liked him. But like Roy coming in and then he was sort of in and out of the team because of injuries, but when he played he was brilliant. Like, I remember playing at Ibrox with him and first couple of minutes he goes 3 Perso and you're like, ah, lovely. You know, and with the Magic Zarowski, he was another good player, he scored that time. We really had quite a comfortable afternoon. But no, he was brilliant, you know, and he brought up Big Dion.
He was a hero, wasn't he, Dion Dublin?
Great guy. So, I mean, you're socialising, like Roy wasn't drinking, obviously, but you're sitting there talking with Roy and Dion and the lads, like, you know, it was a lot of fun. And Gordon was great with him, like, as well, you know.
Did Roy not give a big speech after the first game he watched? Was it Dundee United at home? Remember we all got brought in a room and Gordon spoke and then Roy stood up and spoke?
I can't remember, like, he was saying something like, you know, just about stopping crosses or something like that. We need to be better, blah, blah, blah. You like,
and he was just in the door, wasn't it?
Aye, no problem, Roy.
Did the league title feel differently being the captain, lifting it?
No. It just felt good, and I was more happy for Gordon than anybody else. You know.
Did you become really close over that season?
Yeah, but not only that, like you've been under a lot of scrutiny at the start, and then totally vindicated at the end of that. So you'd already won the League Cup, and then we'd won the league, and then the following season we go into the Champions League, and no, I was really happy. I was more happy for him than me because I'd already won like 4, so or 3 or 4 anyway. So yeah, I was obviously proud, like pleased for the players, but more happy for him because yeah, I mean he'd been under a bit of scrutiny, but he handled it brilliantly. I
was on the bench the day you scored at Dunfermline.
Oh, where did he get one?
Still never put his on.
Did he not?
No.
How did you get on with him?
He was brilliant with me. Well, when I was injured, he was amazing with me. Proper, made sure I was alright all the time. I really liked him. He could be harsh as anything. It was something like yourself. He could be so harsh on you, but he'd explain why, and it'd be that other side to him. Great sense of humour.
Yeah.
What's your funniest thing? Can you remember him saying something particularly, a one-liner of that? Remember he said something about a spot on Paddy's nose once that had me in tears, man. He had that in his locker too, didn't he?
He said to Sammy was injured and he was moping about the place. He's like, "Come on, Sammy, you haven't got cancer." You know what I mean? Stuff like that, honestly.
He could be quite brutal, couldn't he?
And then there was one day, I don't know if you were at the club at the time, we're playing something in the cup, and we're halfway through the game, we're losing 1-0, and the wee guy comes out, the wee guy in the blazer and that, like does the doors and that, comes up to Gordon, he said, "Gordon, have you got the keys to the dressing room? I want to leave the sandwiches in for you." Fucking game's going on. You can imagine. I'm looking this way, trying not to laugh, and he's ranting away at this guy. Like, you know what I mean? It was so funny. And he tells another brilliant story where he's managing against Barcelona in the last 16, and it was the 3-2 game at Celtic Park when Jan scored and Barry Robson scored.
Yeah.
And there was this spell where Barcelona were popping at about like the 40, 50 passes. This is the beginning of the just before Guardiola. Yeah. And Barry Robson came over and goes, "Gaffer, what do we do? What are we going to do?" He goes, "I don't know, Barry, I'm really enjoying this, so I've never seen football like this." that would have been his wit, like, But he was a good man manager and he was a really good coach as well.
Yeah. I need to ask you about Tommy Gravison. What was when you first hear he's signing, do you think, wow, what a signing for the club?
Yeah.
And then
then you start training him, and what was wrong with you? We signed your twin brother or something like that. He was bonkers, wasn't he? I liked him though, in my own way. I didn't mind Tommy, and when he could turn it on, like he could really play. He scored a hat trick at St Mirren one day. He was brilliant, but he was too he lacked concentration.
Yeah.
And he almost had the attention span of a goldfish. So he couldn't take, and then the next thing he'd be running around. I remember playing in Copenhagen and he was playing right side of midfield in front of Mark Wilson. And every time they attacked, there was fucking no sign of Tommy.
He would just wonder.
Willow had a 2v1 every fucking time. Gordon was going ballistic, But I mean, I've seen some of the stories you tell. I mean, you boys are a lot, you had a lot more stories than I can remember, really.
It was probably because when he came down to us, he just went mental, I think.
Yeah, we wouldn't have seen that, you know what I mean?
I need to
Why
ask you.
did he get sent down?
I think what you said just couldn't listen. I think he was calling him Gordon and all that.
Oh, was
For
he
the
at
gaffer.
it?
I think
Was
he was
he?
at it, mate.
Was he?
Funny guy. See, the second season beat Man United at Celtic Park, the last 16 game. Is it true Gary Neville says to you Zaha was going to miss?
So what happened was they get the penalty, and I was really angry, and because I thought it was harsh. He gave a handball against Sean, and Zaha put the ball on the spot, and I walked over and booted it away, just to
Put him off.
well waste a bit of time and take a booking, like, you know what I mean. And then as I'm walking back, he goes, "That's a waste of a yellow card, Lenny. He's going to miss us." And sure enough, Big Arthur saved it. So, you know, and then Naka, I mean, the goal Naka scored.
Are you standing right behind that? You'd have been behind.
I was in sort of like round about, you know, the D of the centre circle. And I was right behind it. It was incredible. And then you know, the foundations almost came off the roof and that, like, and you didn't know it, but we'd qualified, like, and for me that was a great feeling, like, you know, after all them years of trying, we'd sort of made the last 16 and beat Man United into the bargain.
It must have been good you still bossing games at that age as well, because like you said
I
before,
I don't know about bossing the game that night, like, because it was hard work, and you know, they had the majority of the first half. We played a lot better in the second half, but to be able to to compete against, I mean, Ronaldo was playing, Rooney, you know, what year was that? Was that 2007?
Goals and that they still been playing, eh?
School, yeah. I mean, they won it the year later, you know, so you can imagine. And we even like give him a really good game at Old Trafford. You know, we lost 3-2. Naka scored another free kick.
So he did Giggs dive for the penalty?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So he did?
Yeah, do you remember?
Was that that game,
yeah, so that was a great game and all.
How was Big Boric, just quickly?
Oh, he was immense. I loved him. He was mental.
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 Mental in what way? Just didn't really give a fuck, did he?
Didn't give a shit. Going to train in the morning, he'd be in the cubicle. Be out in a minute, lads. Finish off his fag, throw it down the toilet, out he came. You know, you go into his house, like, and there'd be vodka bottles everywhere. But I loved him, and he was super talented.
What a goalie.
He was amazing. Probably the most naturally gifted goalie I've played with, like, you know, or worked with. He was tremendous. I loved him.
And then the last 16 tie, AC Milan, so close.
Yeah.
Was it Kaka? Do you wish you'd grabbed his jersey?
Yeah, but I was on a booking, right?
All right.
And, you know, there was still a bit of time. There's like maybe 12 minutes to go. And I always look back on and think I should have brought him down. But I didn't realise Mick was going to put the reversing lights on into the fucking 6-yard box. Maybe Mick could have come out and fucking took him out. I don't know. But maybe looking back on it now, you think, yeah, just take him out, like, you know. But we should have had a penalty that night for a handball against Maldini.
You're always getting done in Europe with decisions, aren't you?
Yeah. It was. Yeah, we felt it was a handball, like, first half. So you go 0-0 with them, and then, you know, they beat you 1-0 in extra time, and then you lose, and they go on a minute. And the relief, you could see it in the, you know, I remember talking to Seedorf. I'm not name dropping, but I was talking to Seedorf.
Fucking name drop all you want, that's amazing.
I was doing the Bayern Munich game with Celtic, and Clarence was there, and he said, like, that was a real sort of turning point for us, because we were struggling. And, you know,
like a shake-up type thing,
he gave us really 2 hard games, and then after that, we sort of realised, you know, we got a big chance now.
And then, how did you come to the decision to leave Celtic?
Funny, right? So that was after.
This is the Scottish Cup final?
Yeah, no, but I went to see Gordon.
Right.
Like, it was a couple of weeks after the Milan game, you know, and I said, Gaffer, I need to see you. I says, what is it? He goes, you know, I'm thinking of calling it a day here. You go, yep. You know, not like, no. He goes, yeah. And we had a laugh about it. I said, look, I don't want to be hanging around next year. You got all these good players and that, and I'm not going to feature much, so, and I'm starting to feel it a bit anyway, like, you know, my knees were starting to hurt and that. And, you know, I'd done everything I wanted to do, really. You know, trebles, doubles, last 16s, European final, loads of wins over Rangers and all them great. So yeah, it was the right decision. Cup final was my last game.
You raging when he took you off,
Yeah, but I got, you know, when you see it from the other side, it's probably the right thing to do, like, you know. And I wish I hadn't announced it so soon, because it was like a slow death then. No, this is Lenny's last Old Firm, this is Lenny's last game at Celtic Park, this is Lenny's last away game. You know, I wish I'd have sort of maybe kept it for maybe just a couple of weeks before. But anyway, yeah, and then we won it, and wasn't raging, it was just, yeah, it was upsetting, because that's the last time I was going to wear a Celtic shirt. My last game at Celtic Park was against Aberdeen, and I just went into the dressing room afterwards, and I'd seen Henrik do it, like, you know, and I thought, I'm not going to do that. He bawled my eyes out. I had to put a towel over my head and just sat there like shuddering away, like, you know what I mean? And all the boys just left me to it, like, you know. I must have
Strange
cried for
feeling,
about 3 or 4 minutes, like, you know what I mean? Because you put everything into it, like, you know, and it was just, there's something about Celtic, there's an emotion about it, there's a romance about it, there's a pressure about it that, you know, no other club could sort of bring to you. And I played in a very, very special time, very, very, really good era.
See, at that point, Lennon, do you think I'll never be back at Celtic again? Or did you always have in your mind you're going to go to coaching management and you'd love to
I
come
wanted to be a coach, like, that was because I was doing my badges at the time, but I never thought I would go back to Celtic. Like, you don't sort of envisage that, like, you know, you think, because I went and did a year in England, I went to Nottingham Forest and Wickham, but I was just seeing out my time. I wasn't really enjoying it, like, you know. And
then how surprised, who phoned you to come
Gordon,
back?
because Tommy.
Are you just sitting one day?
Tommy wasn't well.
Like, no, you're not expecting anything?
He'd been down he was actually doing a Sky game, Arsenal-Liverpool, and then he called me afterwards, said, look, you know, Tommy's not doing great, will you come up and give us a hand? And I said, listen, brilliant. So I said that Lobs will humble at Wickham. I said, look, I've got an opportunity here. He said, just go do it, like, you know. So there was like 8 or 9 games left. First game we lost to Motherwell. You're like, fucking hell. Fans are raging, blah, blah, blah. And then...
Did you think the league was gone after that?
I didn't, because there were still 2 Old Firm games. You know, and both of them were at home.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, if you win them, you can start put the squeeze on them. There'll only be, I think there was 8 points in it or something like that with 8 games to go. But we had to win all the games. And to be fair to the players that did that, you know, it was brilliant.
He used Tommy's illness and kind of death a lot in that, towards that running, didn't he? Do you remember he brought everyone out for Lennox Town in the middle of the pitch?
You were there at the time, yeah.
Yeah. And he went, everyone just going to take 5 minutes, think your memories of Tommy's, have a cry, and then we'll come back.
It was really upsetting though, wasn't
it?
You know, because Tommy had meant so much to so many people. And everyone had their own stories about him, and everyone had their own experiences with him, all of them probably positive ones, especially the younger ones. I remember Darren O'Day being really, really upset about it, like, you know. But obviously it had a huge influence on him. I mean, I was older, like, you know, I came up here when I was 29, so I had a good relationship with him and then a great relationship with him under Gordon, like, you know. So yeah, it was devastating, really.
Paul Hartley told you a story about him when he says the gaffer's not playing you on medical reasons. He says, I'm not injured, I'm not ill. And he went, no, but you're making us all watching you. Brilliant.
I remember, you know, Barcelona, there's, you go down the steps, there's a wee chapel on the right, and then you go down the steps and Tommy must have went in to say a wee prayer, but by the time he got out, the game had started, right? The game had started and Gordon went, where the fuck have you been? He goes, I was saying a prayer. He goes, well, you better go back and say some more because we're fucking goal down already.
Does Gordon though say he fell asleep on the bench one day as well?
Tommy, you kidding on and that, like, you know, if ever, you know, getting beat or something like that, he would look at Tommy and Tommy would sort of like moonwalk out of the picture.
Don't ask me.
Don't undo me.
Brilliant.
In a funny way, like, I remember Reardon and Kenny Miller like squaring up to each other. You know the rondos.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Derek had kicked Kenny or Kenny had kicked Derek, and the 2 of them were squaring up to each other, and I thought, let's see how this pans out. Like two flyweights going at it, you know, nipping away at each other, and I thought, I better go and break it up. And then I seen Tommy coming over. I thought, well, Tommy will handle it. And next thing Tommy goes, oh,
he loved that.
And he just made it, you know, he just killed it stone dead, like, you know. I thought it was brilliant.
Amazing. That was a Tannadice game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How special a night was that?
Really emotional. Again, like, you know, I mean, I wasn't really privy to it because it only came in the last sort of 6-7 weeks. But like, it was really emotional for Gordon and Gary and Jim, and obviously the players as well. And obviously, you know, the season was prolonged because Rangers had got to the Europa League final, and I think the games were on a Thursday night, say, and we knew we had to win it to win the league. So Big Jan came up trumps, and the place was packed out, like, you know. What
would a Gordon team talk be like? Lennon, was he good at them?
Mainly like more tactical stuff,
right?
You know, what he wanted from you as an individual, but he again kept it short and sweet, you know, and then maybe some old stories about him and Fergie and stuff like that, you know.
But he could go mad as well, couldn't he?
Who?
Gordon.
Oh yeah, very rarely. I think as he got older, you know, he mellowed. He'd be more angry away from the players than he would be in front of them, like, you know. Right. But I've seen him have a few ding-dongs with players, like, you know.
Again, were you surprised when he decided to leave?
Well, he had won 3 in a row, and then he lost the league on the last day of the season. I think he'd done 4 years and that was enough for him. Like, you know, I can understand it.
And what did you think when Tony Mowbray was the man to
Good.
replace him?
I thought
Good
I loved his Hibs teams.
Yeah.
You know, and when I went to Hibs, I wanted to bring that style of football back. He got promoted with West Brom, and then I think they'd gone down again. But I mean, that's no shit, you know, slack on him.
Yeah.
And then you know, he came up and I thought they tried to get Coyley, didn't they, from Burnley?
Yeah.
And then Tony, you know, came in, and I thought he was a really good appointment.
Did he tell you straight away that you would be going down with the reserve team?
Yeah, which is fine because he's got his own staff, and it would probably, you know, been good for me because I'd done a year and a bit with the first team, and I still needed to do more of my own thing, like, you know what I mean. And you know, a couple of offers to go to England, but you know, the club wanted me to stay around, and I really enjoyed the year with the development team.
Who was in that development team? Is that when you first? Gowser, James Forrest, you brought into that team, didn't you?
Richie Towell, a couple of Latvian lads. You remember the Latvian boys?
Chris and
yeah. Who else was there?
Did you see
Slaney was there.
Slaney, right. See, as soon as you seen Jamesy, did you think, wow?
Yeah. I thought he was ridiculously good, and I love watching him play. I thought he had everything. Like, you could play him left, you could play him right, you could play him through the middle. He was quick. He wanted to run at people. He was good with both feet, and he could score a goal, and he could deliver. You know, his end product was brilliant.
Yeah.
And you know, in some of the games, he would just run. We went to Queen of the South one day, to play their first team, and we took a development team because they hadn't a game that weekend, and Gordon Chisholm said, "Look, can you bring a team down?" So we brought a team down. He's saying to me, like, you know, I thought you'd brought a few more first team players.
Were they no warming up for the Scottish Cup final?
They were warming up for the Scottish. I said, don't worry, they'll give you a game, trust me. I think we're 3 up after 20 minutes. Jamesy was just, John Park was there that day, Peter was there, and they went all up the road going, got some good ones coming through here, like, you know. But really, really good. Slaney was good. Slaney was good that day, actually,
right,
for him.
He's one good game.
Yeah.
He's one good
so
game.
you had Slaney on the left and Jamesy on the right, and you had guys who were playing I can't remember who the centre forward was. Greg Spence.
All right, we Spence, yeah.
So you had Greg, and then guys are playing off him. So really good.
What did you like about it? Just make mistakes and try new things.
Try things, and but in majority, and then taking them to play first teams. So I'd take them to Barrow in the non-league, play against men. I'd take them to League of Ireland. I'd take them to, like, you know, Derry, Cork. So they're playing men's football rather than just play their peers. For me, they weren't going to learn anything. Then I'd ring up people in the Premier League and say, look, can we bring an under-19 team down or under-20 team? We'll play your under-20s.
Remember went to Blackburn?
Remember Blackburn?
David Dunn was playing centre mid.
Yeah. So you see, they'd all be brilliant experiences that you should be getting, but they don't.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, to prefer to the club, they were brilliant that way by...
Loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought it was really good for the development.
See, when you were watching Mowbray's team, was it a frustrating watch for you?
In what way?
How they were playing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I thought there was a lot of mixed messages at times. I thought there's some good days, and it just didn't fit, you know, for whatever reason. Just didn't get it.
And then when he gets sacked, how long is it before you get offered the job?
No, I didn't get offered the job. I did the interim job, and then I got it at the end of the season.
I mean, the interim, when did they tell you that they want you to do that?
Straight away.
Right, and no hesitation, obviously.
Well, no, I mean, it was only for 8 or 9 games anyway, and I was just holding the fort, like.
Was there a thought, if I do well here, I can get a job?
Yeah, yeah, because the club thought well of me anyway, and you know.
Do you remember what you said to them your first meeting? Somebody spoke about this. Saying things need to change here. You're too soft.
The players?
Yeah.
But I couldn't say that at the time, you know, because it wasn't my team. But it came from a place where I knew what I was talking about because I've been a player for 7 years. I've been a captain. I thought we needed to change a lot of things, and we did it in a short space of time. The one regret was we lost to Ross County because the attitude of the players was shocking. And I said some really harsh words publicly, but it came from a place where I could say it because I wasn't the manager.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter if it was a manager or not. It was a message to the players and everyone else that totally unacceptable.
Do you think that message was part of the reason why you get the job? Permanent?
Don't know. I think, like, you know, I won 8 out of 8 in the league, so that helped. And then, you know, I had Johan with me. had a decent team around me. So, and I was young and had the energy for it, like, you know.
Was that Ross County one of the angriest you've been?
Yeah, it was prison. It was the night before we did some analysis and they didn't even fucking watch it. Didn't even look at it.
Really?
Too busy talking and that. And I didn't have the power at the time to go and watch, you know. So I didn't like it, you know. Obviously, there was things in the back of my mind that you're thinking, like, if you're going to improve, you got to clear the decks here.
Right. And then how long does it take for you to find out that you're going to get a job? Did you need to interview?
It was a bit of a wait, yeah. A bit of a wait. It was like 3 or 4 weeks. You know, talks with obviously Dermot, Peter, John Reid, the chairman. They wanted to bring a guy called Stuart Baxter in as an experienced sort of coach alongside me. And like I was a bit like reluctant, but you know, when I'm looking back on it now, as 700 games in as a manager, I totally understand what they were trying to do. You know, it was for my benefit and nobody else's really. So yeah.
And you just refused? You said no?
No, I didn't say no. I said yeah. Eventually I came around to it, but the trouble was Stuart was head coach of Finland, and the Finland FA said no, we're not letting him go. So then I went with my own team of, you know, Johan, Tomo and Gary Parker.
Again, do you remember the day you got offered it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember being at the stadium and...
Did they just phone you and say, can you come into the stadium?
Yeah. And you're like, oh, well, this is happening. So it was a great feeling. Privilege, like, you know, first person. Who do you think first person was around?
First person was around?
No, who do you think I rang? Who do you think I called? First person. Who would you have called?
My dad.
Yeah. You can imagine what that meant to my dad, like, you know. So it was just a brilliant moment, like, you know.
Amazing. And then your recruitment drive began with Jimmy Bullard, Saul Campbell, David James were all linked.
Didn't get any of them.
Did you speak to all three?
Yeah.
And what was the stumbling block, money?
I don't know what it was with Saul. I think he went to Newcastle. Jimmy was like, we did the whole spiel with Jimmy. Met him in Portugal, then met him at Loch Lomond. We got him VIP golf, showed him around the stadium, blah, blah, blah. Did the whole spiel. He went to the Scottish Open because he loved his golf. I've had a brilliant day, blinding day, blinding. I just need to go home and think about it. I said, what should I think about? You know, the deal was agreed, and on the Sunday, me and Johan are at the final day of the golf, and his dad rings me. All right, Neil, it's Jimmy Senior here. I said, how we doing? We got a deal, Jimmy? He goes, nah, we're just a little bit short. And I'm like, you're kidding. I said, how much short? And he said this figure, and I went, you're fucking kidding me, Jimmy, right? So I said, I'll tell you what to do, right? I know who you should speak to. Speak to Peter Lawwell about that and see how you get on with that. He was just asking for way too much money.
We've had him on here, he's some man.
I know, and he regrets it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he regrets it. He said he loved to... Did you think you had him? Putting all that
yeah,
on
I mean, like, he was on good money and we were making a huge contribution to the loan deal, and I felt it would have been good for him, like, you know, he's a good player and he would have brought a bit of personality to the place as well.
How hard was it to lose guys like McGinn and Boric as well for your first season?
Not hard, you just have to be realistic about it and accept it. You know, he hadn't got a huge offer from Moscow, life-changing, so fair enough. And Arthur, you know, sort of, you'd had enough. You know, you wanted to do something else, and when a player's like that, you just got to let him go.
Who do you think was pivotal that you brought in that season?
Hooper, Joe Ledley, Charlie, and then a couple of the guys who stayed around. Brownie was brilliant, and the boys loved Brownie. You know, the new boys who came in, Brownie made them feel welcome. He was a great captain. Sammy was really good with him as well. So we had a younger team, you know. That was the theory: go with younger players, develop them, and try and, you know, obviously be successful, and then, you know, move them on. That was the strategy behind it, and it worked lovely. Was it hard convincing players to come for England? Joe Ledley, I think there was a few teams in for Joe Ledley, weren't there? No, we did it with Joe. We took him up I was actually with Joe at the weekend at the cup final. Took him, his family, up to the hotel, the van, wound him and dined him, and as soon as his dad saw the stadium, that was it, you know. Hoops was difficult because Gordon was at Middlesbrough and Gordon wanted him. So the club did really well to get Hoops over the line, and he turned out to be a revolution. He was brilliant. And Stokesy came in from Hibs, and them two dovetailed really well. Chris Cummings was a good sign and all. Where did you get him from? Got him from Derby. You know, he did really well for me. So yeah, it was really exciting. And a couple of, you know, as the years develop, you're bringing in your likes of Wanyama, you know, great signing. You know, the club did brilliant to get Virgil, you know, amazing, like, you know, from Groningen. So yeah.
Were you looking at about the same style of team that you had under Martin O'Neill? Or do you want to be a bit different?
No, it's similar, yeah. Because you know it works.
Yeah.
You know, there's the template there. Like, so Martin would have learned from Clough. You know, he was one of the greatest.
Yeah.
You know, you probably, whenever I get disillusioned with football, I always go back and watch videos of Clough or read some of his books, because he's just a genius, like, and he gets it. You know, the way the game is now, it's so analytical, and I think players are overcoached a lot now. Whereas his was not simplicity. There's a method to what he did, and there's a method to what Martin did as well. And I started to realise that, you know, 2 or 3 years into working with him, you know, how it all worked. Like, you know, there'd be days where you didn't see him.
Yeah.
But because, you know, he's working on other things, like, but when he came in, he had impact, say.
Yeah.
You know, he was the boss, and his work day was 3 o'clock on a Saturday, like, you know.
I ask that because the mentality of the team, especially in the Celtic Rangers games, there was some wild games against Rangers. Obviously, that shame game with you and McCoist.
Yeah.
You told us off camera you were going to break it today. What was actually said?
Well, I mean, Tom will put it out in his book. What really, like, was what pissed me off was he said something. All's fair in love and war, right? In these games, and it was heavy then. You know what I mean? There was no love lost between either team, either set of fans. It's a little bit more sanitised now. And certainly between the dugouts, there was no love lost either. And El Hadj Diouf started all by Emilio Aguero got injured. Steve Whittaker fouled and got a second yellow, was sent off. So Diouf's coming over to get instructions, and Tim Williamson's running on to cheat Emilio, and Diouf gives up one of them into Tim.
Just Tim?
Yeah.
I'm actually delighted he'd done that.
So I clocked it, and I went, fucking leave my staff alone. And then Coisty's come on night going, don't talk to my players. So that was the start of it, really. And then it got really spicy in the game. We win 1-0, they had 3 sent off. Shake hands with Walter. He goes, and then Coisty says, don't speak to my players like that. And I fucking snapped. Instead of just, normal thing to do, shake hands and leave it, we'll discuss it afterwards. And I'm like, is that right? And the next thing, you see Parks trying to split us up, and then the next thing, there's a throng of people, and Parks fucking gets punched by the 4th official or something like that in the melee, which was really, really funny. But in those days, I didn't want to give an inch, because I knew how it worked, you know, and I wasn't letting anyone get the upper hand on us if I could avoid it.
How was Walter Smith? Good?
He was amazing. Gave us both a bollocking afterwards.
Did he? What, and he got in the...
in my told us to behave ourselves.
Did they come in the office after that?
Aye, of course. But no, he was brilliant. Loved him. A lot of respect for him, and brilliant manager. Tough as teak. Yeah. You know, but smart. Really, really smart.
And you and McCoist obviously all right now?
Aye, fine.
That season overshadowed, you received bullets and a bomb in the post. Talk us through your emotions when that happens, mate.
Just, you know, bizarre, you know, and you're thinking, should I give it up? And then you go in and see the players every day, and you're thinking, I'm not giving that up. Like, you know, these boys have come to play for you, and they're great lads, and I'm well looked after by the club and that, so you just don't. It was strange, you know, and I have to say the security people, the police, we were made to feel really safe, like, you know. So
even with Jeremei Church watching you?
Even with, well, if you see the one where the guy runs on the pitch at Tynecastle, you see Jamie with a bonnet on. I don't know if he's eating a pie, but his reactions...
Security guy.
Yeah, his reactions were that of a sloth. Jamie's had it over the years, there's no doubt about it. He's a bit of a character, and like part of the furniture at Celtic, like, you know, the boys love him.
Good guy. Yeah. There was another one Charlie told that Jeremei Church chucked somebody for the Green Brigade out on the Saturday, and you're playing a European game on the Tuesday, and Paddy pulled Jeremei Church at the back of the bus and say, the Green Brigade are going to put a banner up the night saying Jeremei Church out.
He believed it, did he?
He believed it, and they got Peter in on it as well, and Peter's like, yeah, no, they're right, Jamie, I think the banner's going up the right. Amazing, isn't it? Incredible. How do you reflect on that season? Finished being another final day, league decided.
Really disappointed, because we should have won the league. We lost in Inverness. We had the league in our hands, so we're at Ibrox, and it's 0-0, and I think Sammy missed a penalty with 5 minutes to go. Well, McGregor saved it, he didn't miss it. And we're still that would have put us 5 clear, and that would have been over. In the end, I think there was 2 points in it, and it was, we were going well, then we go to Inverness and lose 3-2. Don't know how it happened. Really disappointing. And we lost the league by a point, I think, and then played really well in the cup final. So that was nice feeling to win a trophy, but you're sort of in the back of your mind really pissed that you didn't win the league.
And then in the second season, at one stage you're 15 points behind Rangers. Was there ever a fear that you're going to lose your job?
Yeah.
Was it spoken about?
What the fuck's going on here? Like dropping points for fun, dead inconsistent. And then I think everyone talks about the Kilmarnock game. We're 3 down at half time. And I just walked in and said, lads, if you want me here on Monday, you got to turn this around. And to be fair to them, they did. And then we went on an incredible run of, 15, 16, 17 wins in a row, and then it culminated in beating Rangers in the New Year Day fixture, or New Year's Eve. Joe Ledley scored a header. And that was it. Then we just marched on.
So no hesitation to put even through that bad run, you're playing 19-year-old kids?
Oh, James was part of the team, yeah. Even at the Kilmarnock, he was unbelievable. So we had I was a massive admirer. Parks used to call him James Lennon because he was my favourite. But I remember one night we were playing the League Cup, and I think it was Easter Road, and he's rocked up with his white boots on. It's not like Jamesy,
big time.
I'm going big time anyway. We're losing 1-0. He's fucking slipping and sliding all over the place. So my whole team talk at half time was just fucking slaughtering him. Get rid of them fucking boots. Who the fucking think you are? Just sliding around like fucking Robin Cousins out there, for fuck's sake. 10 minutes in the second half, we're winning 2-1. Guess he scored both the goals. Yeah, changed his boots. So you could give it to him.
And he would take it.
Yeah.
That's where his mentality is.
He's amazing. I mean, amazing player. I mean, to get that goal on his 16th consecutive season. He's so humble. Everyone, I never hear a bad word said about him. Like, you know what I mean? He's just so quiet and just, he's first in, last away type of thing. But what a player saying.
So did you feel bad when you put the sandwiches all over him?
No.
What game? Do you remember what game that was?
I think it was Inverness, and we'd won. But we played crap, and they're all in like giving it big licks. And I went, fuck off. Oh shit. And he's starting to twitch, like, you know what I mean? He's feared of moving, like, in case he catches my eye and I fucking go after him, like, because I was ready for going after anyone. And then as soon as I walked out, it was like, oh, thank God for that.
Did you think at half time that Kelly game, I'm done here?
Yeah. Yeah, and rightly so. It wasn't good enough, So I think we're in the Europa League. We're going out of the Champions League, and we were, I wasn't getting what I should have been getting out of the players. So, thankfully the club stuck with it, and then we turned it all around. So
was it just that second half performance, or was there anything else you changed for the rest of the season?
Can't remember. No, I think for the time being, I didn't change formation, just mentality, because you're going like, you were a point away from, a game away from in the league and the cup, double. Why have we gone so inconsistent all of a sudden? It's bizarre. And then, we had a few choice words with them, and then they turned it all around. They were brilliant after that.
And then how did that feel when your first league as a
Celtic? Oh, that's one of the best memories of my life, winning at Kilmarnock, and I think we had sort of 3/4 of the ground out there. It was fabulous. Won 6-0. It was just champion football, like, Big Mulgrew scored it. I think Charlie got Player of the Year that year, so, it was fabulous.
How was he as a guy?
I love Charlie.
Amazing, isn't he?
Hilarious. Turned out to be a better player than what I thought he was going to be. Became almost my first pick, over the years. Where he started, poorly. Played him at left back against Braga, and he got sort of ripped up inside out, and I thought, oh dear. So, and then he come to see me one day, and I said, look, you'll get in the team. And then I played him at Ibrox.
Wide left, he said.
Yeah, and he played really well. And then after that, he never looked back. And then he became a complete player. You could play him centre half. You could play him left back at a push, or wing back in a 3. And you could play him in centre midfield as well. He was such a good player.
How did you celebrate winning your first league title? You got with the boys?
Yeah, I think it's just, my mum and dad were over, so we just spent the night with them.
Celtic Park?
Oh, I went back there and then just home, and then maybe on the Sunday went to the Drake for a couple with the boys.
Brilliant. Were the coaching staff or players as well?
Players as well.
What players were you fond of hanging about with?
I wouldn't hang around with them really, I learned that from Martin, so I never hung around with them, but, you know, maybe on a day like that, you know, the boys who were out, you'd go and say hello to and that. The Welsh boys were funny. Adam and Joe, Brownie. Brownie was great. Brownie was fantastic, actually, as a boy and a player. Who else? You know, Charlie would be there, Hoops. All a good bunch of boys, you know, we gelled really well together.
Yeah, you and Brownie have got an unbelievable relationship, don't you?
Yeah, well, look, I wouldn't have got the job without Brownie in the first place.
How come?
Just on his performances, you know, and then he became, you know, he just grew into being a fantastic captain. You know, players loved him, staff loved him, and the fans loved him because he was such a good player. He was a remarkable athlete. People, you know, that sort of gets underlooked. He could run, you know, he could eat up the ground at his pump. And he's a better footballer than people give him credit for as well. And again, towards the end, he played up on the pantomime villain one, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, he would go toe to toe with anyone, Brownie. He wouldn't faze him at all.
No fear him at all. No. See, when you used to play him against Hibs, did you know that about him?
Yeah, he was jealous. He reminded me of himself. So I liked him a lot. And then in Kyle, do you remember Birmingham Kyle?
Yeah.
And he was a ferocious tackler. I mean, ferocious. So him and Brownie would be going at it toe to toe. We'd always put them in different teams.
Just to get them to fight with each other?
No, they never fought.
Just to go out and yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, bloody hell. But they'd just get up and get on with it. And they'd so much respect for each other. But that was Brownie. Brownie reminds me of somebody you could like, don't matter how many times you hit him, he'd just keep getting up. You know, he just never, I don't think he feels anything. You know, when it's snowing, he's out in a t-shirt and shorts. Fucking weird, man. I think he fell in a vat of deep heat when he was a kid, like, you know what I mean?
Do you say the unbelievable captain? What do you mean, just like helping people settle in and everything?
All that, and his performances as well.
Yeah, how he every day
drove the team, you know, and particularly in the games.
Yeah. No Rangers in the league the next season. As a result, could you put a lot more focus on the Champions League?
Yeah, you could, yeah. So, obviously we made the last 16 that year. And that was really enjoyable. Well, it was amazing. You know, obviously everyone talks about the Barcelona night, but, you know, some great winning in Moscow was huge, absolutely huge. And we started the campaign with a draw against Benfica, where you're thinking, you know, many needed to win that, but in the end, you know, we got the 2 wins against Moscow and obviously the big one against Barca.
Did you always believe you could beat Barca?
Well, yeah, because I've done it myself as a player. But this team is special. Like, you know.
Is that what you try to put across to the players, that I know this is possible?
Yeah, and then, you know...
That was a different Barca to what you played. I know you said that it started to get to that stage, but when you beat them, it was proper Barca, wasn't it?
Oh, they were ridiculous. So, for me, the best football team I've ever seen, say, was... when they beat Man Utd 2011 in the Champions League final. It's the best football team I've ever seen. Like, just pure football and quality. So we were playing them a year later, like, and we go to the new camp, and you know, if you're going to have a chance, you got to score first. You know, we had watched them. Me and Johan had been to see them play Deportivo La Coruña a couple of weeks before, and they were 3-0 up after 10 minutes. And I'm like, we're in fucking trouble here. Fuck's sake. But the game ended up 5-4, and Deportivo scored from a corner, a free kick, a penalty, and an own goal. And you're thinking, right, set plays. Because they didn't really bother with set plays because they were that good. Yeah. Right? Defensive ones anyway. So we worked on a bit of that. But in the new camp, we scored first, free kick. So that gave us something to get our teeth into. And then they scored a great goal just before half time. And I was really pleased with the fitness levels and everything. The concentration was so good because you know what it's like against these teams. You don't see the ball for a long time. And then Fraser came up with a couple of big saves. And we're thinking, you know, it gets into the 90 minutes, there's 4 minutes left, and they score in the 93rd minute, Jordi Alba. And the players come in after, they're on the fucking floor, like, you know. And I'm saying, look, I'm so proud of you, but hold on to this feeling of, you know, use it as a motivation, because you know it's going to be different in 2 weeks' time at Celtic Park. It's going to be so noisy. You know, the crowd are going to be with you. You're going to have them behind you. And it's going to be an unbelievable occasion. But use this fuel as your motivation, this defeat. And the night before the Barca game at home was the 125th anniversary of the club. So the club put on a little ceremony in the Calton. It was beautiful. Like, you just felt there's something in the air, you know.
A bit special,
Yeah, there's something going, you know, just something. You could feel it. It's palpable. And you walk out like in front, and there's a big tifo that night, you know. And I'm just saying that this is it. This is what I always wanted from Celtic. playing the best teams, one of the best iconic stadiums in the world. Place is rammed. It doesn't get any better than this, like, you know. And then the players went out and played their hearts out, like, you know.
Can you just talk us through how Tony Watt's goal unfolds for you watching it?
Yeah, so Mika Lustig got injured. So Adam Matthews playing left back. I put Adam Matthews left back to right back. I put Charlie from left wing to left back. I put Sammy from centre forward to left wing. And I put Tony up top. And they had a free kick. Fraser saved it. And for some reason, he fucking kicked it quick. I don't know why. And Xavi miscontrolled it, and Tony's in, and I fancied him. Because Tony was a good finisher. And at that stage, he was powerful and raw. And he took a great first touch, and I thought, he's going to score here. And the next thing was just bedlam, you know. And I look around the U1, and it's 82 minutes or something like that. I said, might get a fucking draw here. They were that good. See when we scored the first goal, say, when Wanyama scored. So I can't remember, it was maybe 20 minutes into the game. From that time to half time, it was the best. It was football, like, we made them angry. And they're just coming at us in waves, and it's just constant quality, like. I remember Messi hit the bar for you, got a touch on it, like, and just the speed of their play and quality was just on another level, you know, nothing I'd seen before.
So what do you say at half time?
Brilliant, keep it going. You know, what else can you do? There's nothing tactical I can say, because you're playing fucking. How do you prepare for Messi? You know, what suited us was he went on the right hand side, and Adam was left footed. Oh, sorry, Adam was playing left, but he's right footed.
He's coming on his right
foot.
foot.
He was coming in, it suited us. And Adam at that stage was really good 1v1 defender. And we just tried to keep them from coming through the middle as much as we could, and just keeping them in the wider areas, because they don't really cross it. It's all cutbacks or low crosses, and I had good athletes in the team like Wilson and Ambrose who could sort of read those and get across the line quickly. So yeah, that was as best as we could do, really.
And final whistle, best moment in football?
I've had many, but that was one of them, yeah. I didn't really understand, or, you know, what are we, sort of 13 years later? The significance of it didn't hit me at the time. Because as a manager, you're thinking, wow, we beat Barcelona, but fucking got to qualify now.
Yeah.
You know, there's no point in beating Barcelona and not qualifying.
Is that what you said to him in the dressing room?
Yeah, because we've got Benfica away and Spartak at home, because great opportunity for us, but yeah, then the next couple of days it starts to sort of sink in. And then when you make the last 16, when we beat Moscow that night, you're thinking, yeah, that was brilliant. Spoke to Messi after it.
No way.
Which was a real privilege, yeah.
But he came up to you? Or you went to him?
We just bumped into each other in the corridor and we shook hands and said, bad luck. Bad
luck to
bad
Messi.
Luck. And then congratulations. He had a son like 3 or 4 days earlier. Said, congratulations on your son. And he just shook my hand. So that was a nice moment.
Again, how do you celebrate a night like that? Just straight
I
up?
went to one of the directors' houses for a few drinks there, which was brilliant, like, you know, and celebrating long into the night, you know.
Yeah,
and then I
right.
got a phone call the next day from Elton John.
No chance.
Yeah. So the PA, Christine, rang the house and said Elton John's been on the phone. And then from Mrs. I haven't come home yet. She goes, Elton John's been on the phone. I said, aye, so it is. She goes, he's calling again. So Elton John called my house, and he was on his way to tour Australia. He said, I watched the game last night and I've followed your career, and I said, I think it's brilliant what you've done, and you made Rod Stewart cry. He's a big pansy anyway, you know, that type of stuff.
They're tight, aren't they?
And of course, like, you know, he knows a lot about football because of his connections with Watford, and with a 20-minute phone call, which was just surreal.
Amazing. What's Rod Stewart like?
Oh, he's brilliant.
You had any good nights, huh?
Oh yeah, brilliant. He's amazing.
Is he?
Fantastic. Met him in New York. I was over for the charity foundation, and I went into this bar and said, you Neil Lennon? He said, yeah. He says, there's a car out waiting for you. I said, well, I'm here with my mate. He goes, you need to go. This car takes me to this bar, and upstairs there's Rod with his family and that. We just sit there. Scotland were playing Russia, and he's got the game on. We just sat there all afternoon, few beers and that. He's amazing, generous, can't speak, and he's so good to me over the years.
Any other big names that you've met through?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, you know, I know Johnny McElhone really well, Charlene Spiteri from Texas.
Wow.
You know, Bobby Bluebell's a good pal of mine.
He
Millions of
drinks in
people.
the Bell as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, Lewis Capaldi lives next door to me.
What's he like, alright?
He's great. Love Lewis.
Nutini?
We threw Paolo in the ice bath.
What game was that?
We won
Oh,
the
won the
league.
league?
Yeah, we won the league, and the boys threw him in the ice bath because I don't know if he'd sing it. He wouldn't sing.
He came in the dressing room. I think I was
Yeah.
working at that game. He
You
asked
might
him to
have
sing a.
So sing us a song, Paulo. No, in the bath.
Amazing.
So you meet like you know all these like celebrity Celtic, Jim Kerr, one of my heroes, Simple Minds. Met him in
Billy
London.
Connolly.
Billy, yeah, give Billy a tour of Lennoxtown one day.
Did ya?
Yeah,
That must have been quite surreal.
it was just me and him. Took him around the whole place. Like got the building shut off and had a couple of hours with him, which was brilliant. Like you know.
Are you not quite tight with Kevin Bridges? Is Bridges?
Kev, I've not seen Kev on and off. Like we were really close for a few years, but I mean he's away. He's gone mega, you know, and
Forgot about you.
no, he's
Mind
a
you.
family man now, like you know, and sort of settled a wee bit. So met a lot of, you know, we Craig Connolly, the caddy. He was Martin Cameron's caddy when he
Right.
won the Ryder Cup. So I've been so lucky to meet so many influential people, like John Reid, for example. He's the chairman. He was, you know, Secretary of State for the government. That's how high he was, like you know. Obviously, even meeting Dermot Desmond's fascinating, you know.
And what's he like as a guy?
Super intelligent, as you can imagine, and just really impressive.
Similar conversation is
No, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's just a
carving coffee.
just thinks differently. It makes you think differently about things as well. Who else? Martin Comston, all these great Celtic fans. Like he just loves the club.
I just wanted to ask you quickly on that game, just in general. So, how are you after a game? Say if you've won or if you've been beat, is it you quite hard to deal with? Have you been beat?
Obviously, you're very pleased. It's difficult after a defeat. Difficult, you know. The defeats are a lot more sore. So yeah, they're difficult ones. When you get a wee glow, you get that wee glow, the feeling that I was talking about, and that sort of sense of one relief and satisfaction. But the defeats are difficult.
The next season you win the league in, but you've said you added Virgil van Dijk. Who picks him up? Who comes to you and says that you need to watch this guy and see?
Well, John Park and his team, you know, and then we watch videos of him. You're like, fucking hell, like Rio Ferdinand. And then you know, Johan went to watch him, came back, and you know what Johan's like. Oh yeah, he's good, but he should do this better. He should do that better. You know, as a defender, you want to take a lot of pride in that. But you know, I don't know how the club did it, but we got him for like 2.2 million. And as soon as he walked in the building, you're like, no, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Gorgeous as well, isn't it?
Handsome big fucker, yeah. He had everything, yeah. Legs like tree trunks and just made. Well, you've seen him now. Like what amazed me was he never went to one of the big clubs
straight away.
Yeah. I remember Arsenal ringing me about him, and you know, saying like, obviously we don't want to sell him, but you know, why? What are you ringing me for? I mean, he's ready. You know, and they were saying we're not sure about his defensive side. So fine.
Did he have a couple of bad games in Europe to start?
Yeah, but he was injured. He wasn't fully fit.
Right.
It was only the qualifiers, and then after that he was fine.
Is he the best player you've seen in Celtic?
Yeah. I've seen a few.
Who else would you say, management wise?
Yeah, Wanyama was good. Tops. Hooper was brilliant. Boster was brilliant. Frimpong.
Oh wow.
You know,
How does Frimpong come out?
I got him for 250 grand. And now he's signing for Liverpool today or tomorrow for 40 million. Played a bounce game. Man City brought an under-21 team up and you know, down the bottom field at Lennoxtown.
Yeah.
Went down to watch it and just saw this kid, and he was like, he's good. And he kept going, and he had great sort of fitness levels, good speed, good technique. You know, I was looking for a right back. Thought, yeah, he's all right, him. Then again, you speak to Peter about it, and Nick Hammond was helping out with us at the time and got the deal done, and he came in, he was just, couldn't keep him out of the team set. In training, he was ridiculous. Me and John Kennedy looked at each other going, Canel, wow. And then you get into the team, and a year later he's off to Leverkusen, and look what he's done out there. Won the league, won the double. You know, going out there as a young man to Germany, like, you know, takes a bit of bollocks, like, you know, but he's excelled, and now he's gone to the
Seems like a good kid as well.
So I'm so happy for him.
Brilliant. You won another league, but decided to leave Celtic. Why?
Just I'd done 4 years, was tired, and there was no real competition. Yeah.
Is it proper training?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Sometimes I look back and think maybe you should have stayed on, but at the time I felt that, you know, it was a good time to leave.
You went to Bolton?
Yeah, well, I'd sort of 6 months off, and then I went to Bolton because I thought it was a big club. They'd just been relegated. They were in a false position in the league, and you could do something with it. And we did. We kept them up comfortably. But what I didn't know was behind the scenes that they were pulling the rug under my eyes, you know, not putting money that they said they were going to do, invest in the team and that. Because we wanted to make the playoffs the following year, but the money stopped. It ran out and they went into administration. So that was, again, you get experiences, say, you get good ones and bad ones, but you just have to experience them to see what it's all about. So I've gone from the highs of Celtic, the lows of what happened in that second year. It was really difficult.
Any hesitations when Hibs came?
No.
Why not?
Potential. They'd won the cup. Stubbsy had gone to Rotherham, and I felt, big club. It's on its, shouldn't be in the championship. Real potential there. Let's do it. And it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
Well, loved it. Big club as well, isn't it?
Loved it. Loved the players. Loved working there. We had a great year. I mean, getting out of the championship, it's always difficult, but we did it comfortably. Got to the semi-final of the cup, and then the following year we had an unbelievable year. We got 67 points, and we only finished 4th. That's how good the league was that year. 67 points, like. I don't know what 4th place got you this year, but I think it was maybe in the 50s. But I had a great team.
Did you just need to change the boys' mentality?
A little bit, and add a bit more physicality into the team. So got a good goalkeeper, Marciano. Got Grant Holt in. Already had Cummings, who was, good goal scorer at that level.
How was he as a
John?
How was Cummings?
Oh, he's great. He's funny, but he burped one day in front of me, and I nearly took his fucking head off.
Did he burp, bro?
I'm doing a chat after the game. He goes, "Bleh." I'm like, "Are you fucking taking the piss?"
We had him on here yesterday. He's off. He's not.
He is, aye.
But a great boy, he seems.
Funny.
So
to take him to get him over the line with Hibs, I was out at the Euros.
Hold it, mate. Amazing.
Did he tell you
again, please? Just you tell it from your perspective.
And Aldo came out with him as agent. I said, "Look, bring him over. Alan Shearer's here, Chris Waddle, Dean Saunders. I'll introduce them to all these boys, and we'll sell the club to them." So by the end of the night, he's fucking up on the table singing karaoke with them all. Like, there's no shyness about him, like, you know what I mean?
But you love that in people, don't you?
I do, yeah. You're all the same, like, I like the gallousness, I like the energy, I like the personality. You start, what a lot of coaches do is they pour water on it.
Yeah.
And that's part of their makeup, which makes them who they are, like, you know what I mean? And I don't like that. Because I had a bit of the rascal in me.
Yeah.
And it's part of your makeup.
See, McGinn, did you know he'd going to do what he'd done?
Well, he was phenomenal in the second year. I mean, phenomenal. So, yeah.
Was there bits about his game at first that you thought?
No, he had to work on, yeah.
What were they?
Just the times when he'd stick his bum into people and lose the ball and that. Sometimes he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But they were few and far between. Some of his defensive work, he needed to work on. His discipline, like, at times, but that's nitpicking. He was a phenomenal player, really still is. I mean, he's been unbelievable. Watched them this year against PSG, and John's got that capacity that all the great players have to actually pull the team himself by the scruff of the neck and go, "Come on, I'm fucking doing this." So when they beat PSG at Villa Park, he was phenomenal. And they're all talking about Rashford after the game, and I'm going, well, McGinn was the best player on the pitch by a mile. Annoys me. And what he's done for Scotland, and he could go again, say, if he wanted to.
Even higher.
Yeah, I think he could if he wanted to.
Was there a certain game where you thought He
scored 2 at Celtic Park. He was phenomenal. And Callum McGregor scored 2 for Celtic. So you had 2 great midfield players going toe-to-toe at it. Like, it was a brilliant game. And then John scored a worldie at Ibrox. He picked it up just off the halfway line, dropped the shoulder pass one, touch, and then goes bang. And I thought, oh, what a player. What a boy he is as well.
Yeah, good boy.
Seems he does a good impression of me.
Well, I think they all do, mate.
Did he tell you about, I was reading him and, like, we were on a really good run and then we're playing St Mirren and we lost 2-0.
Cummings told it as well, huh?
Did he?
Now the best player in your house.
Yeah. He said, can I go home with my family? I said, I'll be the fucking closest you got to your brother all night. he never lets me forget it, like, you know what I mean?
You still speak to him now, eh?
Of course, yeah. He lost his grandfather there. We loved Jack, like, you know. So, yeah, I mean, a great family, great football and dinners, but he's special, like.
Yeah, amazing.
Really special.
Second spell at Celtic, Rodgers' shock departure for Celtic to Leicester. Again, how do you... Someone just get in contact with you? Do you have a feeling that they're going to come in?
Well, I just left Hibs, like, under, like, really strange circumstances.
Yeah.
And then I got the call from Celtic to go back in, and I said, yeah, of course. Yeah, but it was really difficult because the pressure was insurmountable. I couldn't win, if you know what I mean.
But your Hibs team beat his Celtic team before that, didn't he?
Yeah, but that's academic, like, you know. I had a good Hibs team, but what I mean is, you know, Brendan had won everything.
Yeah.
So it was only the only thing. Yeah, exactly. So we ended up winning the treble, and then winning the, you know, we go into the next season great. Although, like, we lost to Cluj, which we had never done. Like, I was really pissed about that because I thought we could have done well. And then we had a brilliant season up until it got cut off. We were 13 clear, won the League Cup, and beat Lazio home and away, topped the group. Fucking then we go out to Copenhagen, like, which is crazy. Shot ourselves in the foot that night. But yeah, we were flying, absolutely flying. And then the COVID come and everything changed.
See, when you first went in, was it hard to, because I know you see football a different way than Brendan Rodgers sees it, but it'd been so successful. Was it tough for you to think, do I stick with this or do I just rip it up and go back to?
No, I stuck with it because I didn't want to disrupt anything, because you got to be really careful. You can't come in like a bull in a china shop and go, yeah, this worked really well, lads, but we're going to play this way now. You know, you're like, you've only got, I don't know, 12 games to go, and you know, you're in the quarterfinals of the cup, so and you don't want to upset anything, you know, because it's done amazing things. Brendan had done amazing things the first time, and that's just one of the hardest acts to follow in football when you're doing something like that.
And did you expect to get the job at the end of that season?
Yeah, if I won the treble, yeah. So we did win the treble, and I thought, yeah, I'm well equipped for this. I've got a good team behind me with John and Damien, really good coaches and that, and yeah, I mean, we had a great season. I really enjoyed the following season, but then the COVID come and that killed me, like, you know.
Was that you put Griffiths and Edward up together?
Yeah.
So you did change it slightly, didn't you?
No.
That was the second.
No, that was into the second year.
Season.
I went 3-5-2.
And what was the thing behind that?
Because we were looking tired and Rangers were starting to get the better of us.
Right.
In terms of, you know, the League Cup final, we didn't play well, and Fraser won it for us basically. Well, not won it, but, you know, had a big impact on it. And then they beat us a few weeks later at Celtic Park, and I thought, I've got to change. I wanted to change before that. But I didn't, and that was my fault. Then we go to Dubai, and I said, I need to go 3-5-2. You know, I want to go 3-5-2. I want to get them to. Obviously, Griff was struggling a little bit with his fitness and that, but I knew if I got him in the team, he would be good for Eddie. And when we came back, we were unbelievable.
Some of the football was incredible, wasn't it?
We were annihilating teams. And then it was the 15th of March. We were preparing for Rangers on Paddy's St. Patrick's Day, and that's when the whole thing got called. And you're like, okay, so you just didn't know. Nobody knew what was going on. Football got shut for 3 months. Then the league had to get called because money had to be released for the clubs and that. It was just a shit show. You know, it was horrible. And for me, no one's to blame. It was just one of them things that was completely out of control.
See, when your first game was against Rangers that season, were they billed as the favourites?
Yeah.
How annoying was that for you?
I was so fucking annoyed. And
again,
even
would you use that to the boys?
No,
just in yourself.
it was personal. You know, because I'm looking at the previews and that, and there was no picture of me at all. And that fucking pissed me off. So we beat Stockholm, I think, 4-0 on the Thursday night, but played really well. And then we come to Ibrox and thought, right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to kick in the corner. So Eddie kicks it in the corner, and they're all looking at me going, oh, what you at? And they didn't get out of their own half for about 20 minutes. Eddie scored, and then we had the game after that. We bossed it, 1-2-0. I thought, yeah, that's vindication.
And how were you with Gerard, all right?
Aye, all right, fine, aye.
Who impressed you in that Celtic team?
Edward was good.
Edward was he, huh?
McGregor was tops, still is. Obviously had Frimpong.
Yeah.
Foster was back. He was great.
He was massive, wasn't he?
Yeah. Who else was there? I don't think. And Cham.
Oh yeah, and Cham.
On his day could be excellent. You know what I mean? Bit moody, but really good player. But Eddie probably was the star of the show at the time, like, you know. Jamesy was still there, obviously. Elyounoussi came in, did okay for us on loan. Good, strong player. And then Griff, like, you know, Griff was a natural finisher. You know, he just didn't look after himself the way he should have done.
The Lazio, obviously home and away, must have felt you're building a top team then.
Yeah, we beat them. Like, in the first game, it's interesting to say we started with back four. I said to John, like, we were losing 1-0. They just scored before half time. Said, may change it. Said, let's see how the second half goes. So 5-10 minutes into the second half, they hit the post. Said, right, we need to change. Go 3-5-2. Just need to do something. Need to change it. We ended up winning the game 2-1. Christie. He was another great player. Great player. So that season, Ryan, I think, was in was 20 goals. Jamesy was 20 goals, and Odson was 27 goals. You know, they were phenomenal. They were scoring goals. And then we go to Italy and play brilliantly. Although the first 10 minutes we looked like we shot ourselves. Fucking goal down. Looked like complete strangers. I'm like, come on, settle down. And slowly but surely they get into the game. Callum and Brownie started getting on the ball more. And then we scored a great goal, Jamesy. Fucking great goal. Like touch, bang, far corner. And then second half ebbed and flowed, and I felt we deserved it. You know, on the counter-attack at times, even in general play, we had plenty of possession. But we looked a real threat the whole night, and then we got the goal like perfect. And you're thinking, wow, it's another Barcelona moment for me.
What again?
It was amazing.
Amazing,
unbelievable.
I need to talk to you about this, obviously. What were you thinking when Rangers get beat at home at Hamilton? Do you think Gerrard's away?
Done, yeah. Yeah, and then they got knocked out of the cup. And you're thinking, well, he's a dead man walking. And
do you consider that like a sliding doors moment in your second stint as a Celtic manager?
Yeah. For me, the shutdown was the sliding door moment, because we were rampant. You know, we were going to play them. If we'd have won that, we'd have gone 16 clear. If we'd have lost it, we'd have still been 10 clear. We're in the semi-final of the cup, you know, and we're on for a treble. In the end, we win the treble the following season during COVID, finishing off the previous. That's how bizarre it was. You're finishing off the previous season, and then you're playing in front of nobody. See,
when you knew you were going to be playing in front of nobody, going for 10 in a row, did that worry you?
Yeah, of course it did. It was, at first you just want to get going again, you know, because the players haven't trained for a while and they've been all over the world, you know, and you just want them all back because we're going for 10 in a row. And then you're thinking, this is awful. It's not real. First couple of games you can get by with, but then it just becomes bounce games and the novelty wears off. Players could only be at home and then training grounds. Now, it suited some clubs. Obviously, it didn't suit us. And the other thing you had to remember was a lot of those players were more or less, I wouldn't say promised they could go in the summer, but, you know, there was like a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah.
They'd won like 3 trebles in a row. They're on for a 4th treble. You know, they'd done their bit and they were wanting to go and play in the Premier League, but because nobody had any money then, there's no crowds. Everyone's tightening their belts, budgets and all that. The window was extended till October. There was no real business being done and we weren't getting any bids that we wanted. The club was losing money every month. All clubs were losing money. So it was a real sort of balancing act at the time.
How soon into the season did you realise you were in bother?
Before they came back. So we set a date for them to come back in, I think it was somewhere at the end of May. And on the WhatsApp group and get Tim, I wasn't privy to, but Tim's getting all these messages. Can I stay another week? Can I just, see my family? Can I go on holiday? Blah, blah, blah. And you're thinking, they're not wanting to come back, some of them. Anyway, we get them all back. We go to France. But they're just not there. You know, a lot of them. You know, a lot of them are struggling with their mental health as well, because they were thinking that life was going to be different for them after that. We brought boys in, selling the club. Look, you're going to play in front of 60,000. We were thinking, football was thinking the crowds would be back in by December. You know, we've only got a few months of this, and then everyone's going to, and it never materialised. And it's all right, me, you know, sitting here saying this happened and that happened. There's people down all around the world, mate, you know, so it was just, do I feel bad about what happened during the COVID? Yeah, of course I do, but for me, like, it wasn't a real scenario for me. The training never changed, but the whole aspect of football had, and their mentality, and looking back on it, I sympathise with a lot of the players. You know, players that we brought in were like confined to the flat, and it could only be at Lennoxtown and then home again. They couldn't go out, they couldn't socialise, they were stuck there. And a lot of players really struggle with that, which is totally understandable as well.
What about you personally? Is that the hardest year in football for you?
It was horrible, yeah. It was horrible because you couldn't control anything. And then players were breaking protocols. Some of them accidentally, some of them deliberately. But I couldn't. You were angry at the time, but when you look back on it, you couldn't really blame them, like, because life for them was so restrictive.
Yeah.
But we were lucky that we could actually, in one aspect, get out and play again. But it was so like perverse when you think about it. Like, everything else is dead, and we were playing football in front of nobody for what? To keep, for money.
And the Dubai incident, obviously, that was
a disaster.
wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a disaster. But that was players deliberately breaking the bubble. And then bringing it back with them, and the whole thing had to get shut down. Now, Dubai would have been fine.
Yeah.
Because we got government permission to go. And then, of course, there's a photograph of us sitting by the pool, and then everyone's out up in arms about it. And, well, you said it was okay to go, so we did.
Yeah.
And then the whole sort of protocols were changed, buses were changed. We had to take 3 or 4 buses where teams were only taking one. We had to sit, like, the distancing became, we were made sort of scapegoats of all that. That's the way I felt.
People need to remember you're only one of 4 managers that have won the treble for Celtic, and it was achieved during that second spell you get criticised for. Does that annoy you?
So, I mean, you just seen at the weekend how difficult it is to win a treble. It's not like set in stone. I think there was a lot of angst because it was 10 in a row and it meant so much to the fans and that. And nobody wanted to win it more than myself, like, But you don't become a bad manager overnight, like, And I certainly felt that the way some people behaved was not, what I expected them to behave in the way they should have done.
Did that put you off management a wee bit after that?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, sort of pissed me off.
But when you get the wider perspective, how do you look back? You obviously say like legend as a player and a manager.
Absolutely brilliant, but an unbelievable career. People give the right arm to have a smidgen of what I had, and I don't take it for granted. This is the first time I've really talked about it at length for a long, long time, because of other things to pursue in my life. But yeah, I mean, I look back on it with a huge amount of pride, and it made my dad happy, which was the most important thing.
Lenny, what man? Thanks so much, mate.
Thanks.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Okay.